Welcome back. You're watching World Insight with me, Tian Wei. Today is China's Qingming Festival, also known as the Tomb Sweeping Day. Qingming dates back more than 2,500 years ago. On this day, people paid their respects to ancestors by cleaning tombstones, removing weeds, and adding fresh soil to graves. Qingming is also one of the 24 days that divide the solar year on the Chinese calendar, heralding both the change of seasons and what would have been the beginning of plowing and sowing in traditional farming culture. Kite flying, family outings, and special feasts are also part of this annual festival. Take a look at this tradition in China's modern society.
Hundreds of students and teachers of a military university attended a memorial ceremony at the Fuxing mass grave in northeast China's Liaoning province. They honored the miners of the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression, part of the Second World War. The participants also visited the Fuxing mass grave exhibition hall. It records the monstrous crimes in the city committed by the Japanese imperialists. It shows the heroic history of the Chinese people's resistance.
My biggest gain from this event is to relive this period of history. It enables me to remember our history and better face my life in the future. I think we students should cherish the peace that martyrs brought us. We should work hard and make our country more prosperous.
China is now advocating new eco-burials. Ahead of Qingming, such ceremonies have been held. A sea funeral was held at Liaoning's Dalian city. Families scattered petals into the sea in memory of their loved ones. Dalian took the lead in carrying sea burials in China in 1997. It has organized 250 large-scale collective sea burials. This has saved a total of 48,000 square meters of land. In recent years, the number of sea burials has increased by 20% annually. In northern China's Shanxi province, some people choose to bury their loved ones in flower beds.
It's a very good idea, because we don't know where people come from, but we must return to nature. It's a relief to him, as well as a relief to the living. It also comes in line with the country's call to save arable land.
Whatever the way of burial and memorial, they are meant to keep memory alive after saying goodbye.
For more on the Qingming Festival, we are joined in our Beijing studio, Hanhua, a media and communication consultant. Welcome to our program. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
And also Harvey Zolden, a research fellow at the Center for China and Globalization. Welcome as well, sir.
Thank you.
Well, this is a special day for Chinese, isn't it, Ms. Han? Tomb sweeping. It is a day to reflect upon the history and look forward to the beginning of a spring.
Yes.
To you, what exactly is it?
It's a tradition. It's definitely not only a family tradition, but a nation's tradition to reflect our culture and to pray for the ancestors, not only for the family ancestors, but also for the ancestors for the whole nation's development, especially in the new era. It's a good day or a good holiday to have reunion with family, friends, and with the souls of our ancestors at the same time. It's also the season to welcome the spring finally and do some spring activities like outings, like a feast, like flying kites.
You're already ready to celebrate. I can see that.
Yes, I did the tomb sweeping several days ago to avoid the traffic jam on the special day, on the exact day.
I have to say I did the same for my family and the people that I loved who passed away. But this is not the time to only express our sorrows, but rather it is about the time to pick up the spirits.
A mixed feeling.
Yes, and also to look forward to the future. But Mr. Zoldan, I mean, in different cultures, there are different ways of celebrating this day. We have different relevant days in different cultures, even though it's not called Tomb Sweeping Day. But to you, what exactly is the meaning behind such a day?
It's very important to remember people that we loved, or people who even came such a long time ago that we never got to know, who are responsible for us being here, and to honor them, to remember them, and the example that they set.
Exactly. If you are thinking about your family, what would be the one that would you share with us?
I think about my mother, who passed away many years ago, and the many happy times that we had together, and the joy that she gave many people, and also that because of her I'm here.
Did she know that you're here?
No.
I'm sure she will be very happy knowing this fact.
I know.
It's great to have you share the story. What about for you, Miss Han?
You know, I was born in Hangzhou, and my grandparents are buried in Hangzhou. So even though I cannot visit them on the exact day to Hangzhou, but Hangzhou is like a city for Qingming Festival, for the spring. So when I think of them, I think of my hometown, and I think of the culture it brings to me in the genes. And also, when you think of the culture, you think of all the beautiful things related to that kind of culture, and also the delicious food I missed very much, and also the family members, the relatives as well.
Miss Han is always ready to celebrate.
But, you know, especially so in this mood when I'm in the studio talking with you about this family.
But this is the time really to also do some soul searching. I mean, the time that we spend with our ancestors is actually about the time for us to reflect upon ourselves and to report back in a way about what we have done, what we have experienced, and how much strength we should gain in a way. Isn't it, Mr. Zoding?
It absolutely is, and it's a worry of mine watching Chinese culture, that Chinese culture is becoming so modern and has become so modern so quickly that less people celebrate this very meaningful holiday. And I think in so doing, in this change to modernity, especially in the big cities, China has lost a piece of its soul.
Can we pick it back?
I think we have many means to do that in these modern days. We even have very modern technologies, such as to pray for the ancestors online. We can use these modern technologies to remind us, to help us to think of this traditional culture and ancestors and what they leave to us in many ways. And we also want to, from the format, from the surface, then we can do something like you said, the soul searching through other means as well.
Chinese are always on the move. That's what we know.
Yes.
China is moving very fast, changing very fast, but how much luxury Chinese would have when it comes to time to really to reflect and to do some soul searching. If there's no better time, this is exactly the time.
The exact moment.
But you know, Miss Han, it's not easy to do soul searching. You went to see your ancestors just a few days ago.
Yes.
And I have to say, I followed suit. I went to see my grandma on my mother's side.
Yes.
And the road was extremely jammed.
Yes.
The way to the tombs were extremely hard to get to because of the enormous amount of people who all want to do the same thing like we do.
Yes.
Here's the thing. You got limited resources, whether it's traffic, whether it is the cemeteries that could be there available for people. Because China is coming into the aging society, by the way.
Yes.
So a few 100 million. So here's the thing, the tradition vis-a-vis reality. If it was you, Mr. Zoding, how would you handle that?
I think this is a
I heard a long sigh.
Yeah.
You know the realities here.
Because it's a difficult question. As I said, China is changing so quickly. So I think that we always need to pay attention to our ancestors. And one thing, though, in your country, unlike in mine, in your country, you have a very strong president who would like to promote the rejuvenation, the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. And I think this is part of people coming back and the long lines of traffic that you saw. So when people are proud of their country, they engage in the country's culture. So I have great hope.
But at the same time, the reality is the road just cannot take that many people. And this is only a few weeks before the tomb sweeping day. Now to even imagine what would happen on the day of the tomb sweeping day. So that is the, in a way, conflict we are having right now. The demands coming from the society and people's respect for the culture, to follow the cultural traditions, vis-a-vis the limited resources.
Yeah, I think the general tone is that, like Harvey said, we are in the mood of cultural rejuvenation, and we respect culture more than ever, especially after the opening up of China to a fast development till today. So we have means, like we discussed, we have means to tackle that kind of problems or challenges down the road. We have the modern technology. Or in the soul part or spiritual part, maybe I'm a person like to take practices, to exercise these practices. For example, I'm thinking, if I'm going to the tomb sweeping on the exact day that I cannot avoid the traffic jam, then this road towards the ancestors might be a very good way to do the soul searching.
It's good for you while you're driving the car. One doing soul searching, multitasking at the same time. But that is the reality. It's not just about the traffic. It's not just about limited cemeteries. It is also about whether we need to take a look back at the traditions. Because the traditions are being formed over the thousands of years as a result of the realities then. So now things have changed and evolved. Will we still follow the same exact tradition? What would be the kinds of innovation we can bring to the tradition? You are waving your hand. You do not want to say...
No. We think we cannot follow the exact literally.
For example, burning the papers.
Exactly.
The paper money, we want to have our ancestors, the Chinese believe in the heaven to be rich again. But certainly the environment here, particularly the air quality in Beijing, will be enormously influenced as a result of that.
In the most recent years, I have been going through some of the, for example, my parents' classmates, university classmates passed away. So I always comfort them that the souls are living, are staying, even though the human bodies are gone to the afterlife. So I think we cannot follow the exact tradition, the ritual, strictly. It's almost 2,500 years so old. So we are creating some new traditions. We are forming the traditions nowadays. For example, we are not allowed to burn the paper, either the paper money or other paper building for the ancestors, especially in the cities, right? So we are dumping those traditions for a better environment. But we have some other new traditions are formed, like the green burials, like the sea burials, like the tree burials. I think these are some modern ways, but will become tradition for the next generation after.
I think society is adapting. So about the burning the money, people are now burning paper copies of MacBooks and mahjong tables, seriously. And so it's very much the spirit of the tradition, but in a very modern sense.
But certainly those cannot be burned either, because it is banned already in the city to burn anything on this day because of the environment. Having said that, though, this is only tradition related to how we remember the ancestors and how we, in a way, pick back the spirit that they have left with us with legacies. The other thing is, whatever the festival is, no matter how heavy the theme is, there's always the reunion. There's always the celebration. That probably is one of the biggest things related to a traditional Chinese festival. Mr. Zoden, I don't know whether you have noticed, these festivals plus the Spring Festival is the best way for a family, a big family, to finally get together.
Yes, I've
Here
noticed.
comes the celebration part.
But
Your part is going to come very soon, the outings and the celebrations.
But one thing that bothers me, and it's happened in my country over the course of about 100 years, is American families used to be multi-generational farm families, 3 generations sometimes, whereas in China, this also has been the norm for thousands of years. But I worry now that some families that are very well off and too busy are warehousing their senior citizens in old folks' homes. I think it's terrible. And it's also terrible that companies are coming in from the outside and the inside who are salivating over the Chinese market.
So you do not think, in a way, the real tradition has been picked up, but rather only the format. The real tradition to you is the respect for the elderly.
Well,
to be in a big family.
To be in a big family and to respect people while they're alive as well as when they're passed on.
Do you think that is the issue?
That's a very good point. In Chinese, we say 后养薄葬, meaning literally translation is that seek support, but thin burial, meaning we should support the elderly, we should respect
when
them.
They're alive.
Yeah, when they're alive, but then we should give it maybe a simple burial ceremony. This, like in our tradition, one of the methods to pay real respect. So I think we should honor this kind of tradition when they are still alive, when they still can be the soul of the whole big family.
But Ms. Han, you know yourself that you're away from your hometown.
Yes.
You're not necessarily still in Hangzhou, right? You're working here in Beijing.
Yes.
So there is the reality vis-a-vis the tradition and the amount of respect according to the tradition that you could have for the elderly or for the family tradition in a way.
Yeah, physically we're apart, but I'm happy that the government has executed this kind of family, this kind of holiday mode that we can celebrate in this special holiday. We can try our means, even though not on the exact day, but we can find means to get together with them. And whenever we get together them, it's like a respect, family reunion, legacy picking up.
At the end of our show, it's always the best time for people to think about the literature traditions and to think about the folk traditions on a day like this. If I could ask you, whether you are from other parts of the world or here born in China, what would be the thing that you would like to share with us on this very solemn and yet important day? Mr. Zoden, what would you say?
That to remember the past, but also to prepare for the future. And so I always think back about my family being Jewish. Every year we light a candle, a 24-hour candle for our ancestors who have passed on, and it gives us a memory of their example of their life, and it sets like a ruler actually for us to measure ourselves by. Hopefully we can measure up to the people who went before us.
All right. And Ms. Han?
Okay, I always miss the time when we, the family members of mine get together and we read articles, especially the poems written in Hangzhou by so many poets in the history.
Is there one in Chinese that you would like to share with us?
And eat Qingtuan together. In Chinese,
yeah.
天街小雨润如酥，草色遥看近却无. Just 2 sentences.
All right.
Is that okay?
With that poetic wrap-up, I guess we have to come to an end to today's discussion. All the best to you and your family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
And that is all the time we have for today. If you'd like to see more, try to find us World Insight CGTN into your search engine or check out our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Sina Weibo. From me, Tian Wei, and everyone on the World Insight team, thanks for watching. Tune in again next time for insights across China and around the world.